I talk about a lot of different upcoming games on here, so naturally I've built up a very large wish list on Steam. And there's so many games on here that I'd never be able to make an individual video on each one before they all release. So why not go over all of them in one video? Part 1. Let Bions Be Bygones is kind of a classic detective noir point-and-click game within this pixelated and beautifully lit neon city. Every background and object in the Master's Pupil has been hand-painted by creator Pat Naum. This is a puzzle adventure game about the life of Claude Monet, and it has a free demo you can try. The Plucky Squire will have you switching between the 2D pages of a storybook and the 3D world where the book physically exists. It looks like this one will have some pretty unique puzzles, and I always love games that play around with perspective. Sifu originally released on Epic, and it's coming to Steam at some point. I've heard good things, and it's been a while since I've played a fighting game. For something a little more chill, The Garden Path is a cozy game about gardening, meeting new friends, and wandering around this storybook world. Nectarmancer is another one of those absolutely gorgeous pixel games, and there's a lot of those on this list. This one is a Gardenvania, so it's a mix of gardening sim and Metroidvania where you can use plants in combat. I've never played any Risk of Rain games, so when I heard that Hoppo Games would be releasing a remastered version of the first installment, I couldn't hold back my curiosity any longer. Zwaard is a 2D action game that takes place in an overgrown world full of ancient technology. Spilled is a really fun one with a very active community on Discord. You drive a little boat around, cleaning up oil spills and upgrading your tools so you can figure out who's responsible for all these spills. If you just want to fly around a bright and colorful landscape, Europa has you exploring one of Jupiter's moons and solving puzzles hidden inside ancient ruins. The Forest Cathedral is an environmental thriller that has you play as biologist Rachel Carson, who studied the effects of pesticides on the environment. It's a really cool mix of first-person exploration and these 2D puzzles that help you interact with your surroundings. Tiny Glades is a small little interactive toy about doodling castles. No management, time limits, or combat, just vibes. I'm not quite sure what to think about Tinselfly, but it's an introspective game about dreams, nostalgia, spaceships, and sword fighting, although I don't think we've seen any swords yet in the trailers and screenshots. Now, two of my favorites. Earthblade is the next game from the creators of Celeste, and it's an RPG with seamless exploration, combat, and mysteries, all set on an alternate version of the Earth. Hades 2 is the sequel to Hades, and has you play as the princess of the underworld, Melanoe. I'm so excited to meet more gods and check in on some of my old favorites. Another perspective-based game, Viewfinder, gives you an instant camera and sets you free in a bizarre world of mountains, skyscrapers, and lots of plants. For parkour fans, Valley Peaks is a simple yet challenging take on mountain climbing in a town full of frogs. As long as you don't mind tentacles, Chasing the Unseen has you climb colossal creatures, explore otherworldly landscapes, and find what you have been seeking. Spring Dash is an FPS and precision platformer about going very fast between a series of floating islands. Dark rituals and demonic pursuers are abundant in Ad Infernum. This immersive sim promises to have lots of hidden loot, shortcuts, and many ways to approach each mission. Reka is a calm and peaceful game about traveling Central Europe as a witch, collecting magical plants and supplies, and personalizing your cottage. ExeKiller is for all of you who want to live out your futuristic bounty-hunting cowboy fantasies. This is definitely one of the most ambitious titles on this list. Skate Story is a psychedelic skating game set in the underworld, with music being done by a band called Blood Cultures. Mind Over Magic has you managing a magic school, expanding your reach down into the depths of the earth, raising undead servants, and studying lost arcana. Eternights is a JRPG with a beautiful, painterly glow. The vibe here really speaks to me. While we're on the subject of knights, Knight of the Deep is an underwater Metroidvania where you play as a sword-wielding fish. Next is Silksong? Yep. Also Crowsworn. I hope these two don't come out at the same time because they look pretty similar, and I can only stand dying so much. I wasn't going to put this on here because it's kind of embarrassing, but More Ore, the Incremental idle RPG, is here because I need something to play while I make all these videos. Surmount is another climbing game mixed with Animal Crossing style visuals. I just really like climbing mountains, okay? 1,000 Times Resist is one of the more mysterious games on this list. It's a hyper-cinematic adventure about reliving memories to discover a lie buried deep in the past. Harold Halibut is a narrative game that takes place on a city-sized spaceship that's submerged in an alien ocean, and all the people and props you see have been handmade in the real world. If you want a slow-paced challenge, Radio the Universe is some kind of cinematic action adventure RPG that's set in this really unique pixel world. Dystopians is a colony sim where you build up a high-rise in a dark cyber city. And Lo-Fi is a cyber cop simulator where you fly around a dark cyber city in first person. It looks extremely atmospheric and will also be available in VR. And that wraps up part 1 of my list. Stick around the channel for part 2.